Okay, so tonight I'm going to be I'm going to be very upfront and honest about the roller coaster of emotions that this job of being a coach can be. Not to scare you away, but honestly, I feel like people don't talk about this very much. And I don't want anyone to feel like you're the only one if you go through seasons like this, because I've gone through a lot of them. And I always feel alone and I always feel silly for going through it or for allowing the emotion to affect me. So I had, well, it's not even the end of the week yet, but from compared to last Thursday to this Thursday in a week, it's just like all over the place where this business can take you, or really where you can allow it to take you or to let you feel if you are not really strongly committed to coaching, to what you're doing. So just to preface, like, my week a week ago, first of all, I'll just say June and July were actually really tough for me mentally and for me in my business. They were just slower months for some reason. I expected with 645, I thought it's going to be a great launch month. I don't even have to worry about it. Like, of course, I kept working hard, but a lot of times with launches, they just seem to roll in. So I was just expecting that, and it didn't happen. I fought to the last day to get to Success Club 10 in June and July. And I got it, barely. But that's not even what we're talking about. But the point was, like, I was struggling mentally really the last couple of months because of the results in my business. And so sometimes I just want to share that, because sometimes it feels like nothing's happening. It feels like we are working way more than we are seeing results, and we deserve a much bigger paycheck than that. And that's kind of the reality when you're building it. And even people who've been doing this for years, like, sometimes you have a month or two like that. So, but you can't quit or you can't slow down, or you're going to create more months like that. So anyway, that's been kind of my summer. The spring was amazing. So then we roll into August. Well, kind of the track record with August so far that I've had as a coach is that it's a really slow, hard month. So I'm like, great, I already had June and July were hard, so I was expecting August to be hard, but not those months. But what happened, well, the funny part that happened was two of the people that I waited for to pay all month long in July ended up paying on the first day of August. So I was like, hey, okay, I guess I'm all right with that, because that's really helping me on this month that'll probably be slow. So anyways, the first week of August was exciting, amazing. I signed up 4 people. 3 of them were like discount coaches. And I had another girl like ready to sign up. She ended up not, because of the stinking share cart thing. We're not talking about that. It was frustrating. But anyways, but through Sunday through Thursday of the first week of August, I was pumped, man. I was so excited. I'm like, this is how it should be. I'm back in action. I felt like, okay, I'm not struggling again. Like, I've got this. And because I had all those signups in one week, my paycheck was really good. And it was my birthday on Thursday. So it was just like all these things bundled up. And I was like, yes, this is so much fun. I love this job. I love coaching. I love getting new people started, all of that. Okay, but then the weekend comes, and like I said, Friday morning, another girl was ready to sign up to be a discount coach. I went to send her the share cart at 5 a.m. And that was the day that Beachbody was doing like all the updates and all of the new things on the website and everything. So it was a mess, and share cart was down for most of the day. So by the time I was able to send her a cart, she was at an appointment. She was gone all day. She said, I'll do it in the morning. So then the next morning rolls around, the day gets away from her. You get the picture. So I finally, and I had been in contact with her a couple of times, so I'd heard from her. And then Saturday night, I go to click on her profile, like to send her a message like, hey, did you get this done? Don't forget. And she had blocked me. And like nothing had happened. Yeah, and I saw Brianna's face. Like, Yeah, that's how I felt. So, and I'm only painting this picture because like stuff like this happens. This isn't the first time, honestly, but I'm just painting the picture of like how up and down it can be, and how if we're not solid in what we're doing, we will lose our minds and we will probably quit. So don't do that. So she blocked me. I couldn't message her. The message failed to send. I couldn't see her profile, all of that. And it's so crushing. Like, you cannot take that personally. And I've had this happen before. So I'm trying to calm myself down, and I'm trying to tell myself, you know what? Like, usually when that happens, something happened to them, and then they aren't able to pay and they get embarrassed or they don't want to come tell you. It's usually something like that. Okay. So I told Alice, I was like really upset that night. I think I cried even. I can't even remember now. It was hard. Sunday morning I woke up and her profile was back. So I sent her another message, and mostly I was like, I hope you're okay. And she said I had something come up and now I can't pay for it or whatever. So we'll see what happens with her. But just painting that picture. But from there on, I was like banking on that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to hit Success Club 10 in the first week. And I'm trying really hard to build Alice's account to Diamond this month. So I have these big goals. And sometimes that can make us really frustrated when we have those big goals and we're not seeing anything happen. And then, so going into the week, I've just had like felt really low and felt really depressed and had like just low self-belief in myself, and just that self-doubt and all the stuff that I thought I've overcome. And then it just kind of creeps back in every so often. Um, and so I'm trying to be honest so that you can understand, like, I feel all the feels, but normally when that happens, well, and I'm going to even tell you to do this in a second, but normally when that happens, I like complain to everybody. And then like a couple days later, I'm fine. And I feel really foolish for doing that. So this time I was like, you know what? I am the CEO of my business. There are going to be hard things that come up. I'm frustrated. What do I need to do differently? Um, and so going into that, like, I'm now going to give you a few tips on things that I did this week, things that I've done in the past, and that I know other coaches do, because you will have days like this. You will have weeks and months like this, unfortunately. And I don't even want to think about it because I don't want to have that again, but they just come. It's just life anyway, right? So, so going into things that I do, for one, it does help to talk out your frustration, but don't dwell on it, okay? And that's where I get hung up, is I wallow in it way too long. So give yourself a time limit. Maybe you need 24 hours, but don't go over that amount, and try to go to bed and say, I'm going to wake up in the morning and make it happen, change my attitude, be positive about this and get my work done. But don't go past that 24 hours. The longer you do it, hopefully you can get past it even faster. But it does help to talk it out with somebody, but with somebody who understands. So probably like me or another coach, or upline person, teammate. I did talk to my husband this time, but in the past, that wasn't always the best option because he didn't get it. He doesn't get the business and how it, he would get frustrated that I was crying over some random lady on Facebook. Which I think he's slowly understanding that it's more than that now, but pick the right person to share your frustration. And maybe you don't need to go talk to like 10 people, just pick like that one person. And so, that all goes into, we always talk about leaning into the team, to a friend, to your upline coach, somebody who understands, or maybe even someone who's detached from it, but who's supportive, like, who could give you some advice, like from an outside perspective, just depending on whatever the issues are that are bothering you. The next thing, or things that I do, is really fueling yourself and pouring personal development back into you, even more than you do already. If you're having a day like that, In a minute, I am going to tell you that you still need to do your work. But before you do that, you need to give yourself extra, extra boost. So find a podcast. It doesn't even have to be about business building. Like, maybe it's worship music. Maybe it's like having a dance party and rocking it. I don't know what people do, but do something that's going to like boost your mood, get you out of that funk. So say, like, maybe you say affirmations to yourself or write them down, or, what else did I put in? Write down your why. Remind yourself why you started. Think back to that day. Think back to how excited you were. Think back to all those times. This is what I have to do. That I said, I'm in this forever. I'm not quitting. Like, I believe in this. I believe in what I'm doing. Think back to that. And are you really committed when you said that? But kind of that bottom line is like, be in charge of those emotions and do something about them to pull yourself out. And again, you don't need to be alone. And this is where I've felt alone a lot of times in this, but you're not. So that's why I'm sharing this now. So remember this story that Heidi has bad days too. But also you can sit down and reflect on the emotion or feeling that you're having, and like be honest, because I've had a few like low points, like even this week. I don't even like to admit this out loud, but I'm like, am I supposed to quit? Like, that's a big word for me, because I don't quit anything. And so reflect on that emotion if you want to quit, or if you feel like you're supposed to take a step back or something like that. And think about, like, how would that actually make you feel? Walk yourself through quitting, even if it's not quitting, even if it's, I hear that a lot, like, I'm just going to take a step back and just focus on my own health or whatever, which is okay if you feel like that's the right thing to do. But put yourself in that scenario and feel it. And so that is what I do. And I always think, who will it affect? And I'll go through these a little bit. What would you do with that extra time that you're not working anymore? Or if you totally quit everything and you're not working out, how would you feel? If you stopped drinking your shake, how would you feel? And what way would it maybe help you or benefit you? Or would it at all? So I sat down, and I've done this a couple of times in my coaching so far. The other one was a couple years ago when we moved. This is a little side note, but the other thing is, do not quit when you're in some kind of major life change or something like that. It's not always a change, but we moved across the country. Both times that we moved, I felt like quitting. I felt like it's too hard. And Sue would be like, yeah, but you're not supposed to quit when you have a big life change, because it'll settle down. You're just stressed out. So maybe you're having a baby. Maybe, like, there's so many different things that are happening that could feel like, oh, this just isn't the right thing to do right now. And if you refer back to the call we did, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I was saying, I shared my story about when things were really hard with Alice and we left, and how I look back and I stuck with my business. That was the one controlled thing. I'm not going to talk about that, but you could go back to that call, because that was a huge example of a time when most people would have quit. So anyways, okay, back to what I was saying. I sit down and I'm like, who would this affect? I immediately go to all of the women in our challenge group. You guys, I committed to showing up for them. I committed to taking care of them. I take that so seriously. And so I think if I quit coaching, they would all go to Sue. And Sue would she would do a nice job and take care of them, but they didn't sign up with Sue. They signed up with me, and they like how I do things or whatever. And so I always think of that, and I love those people, and I take pride in taking care of them and being their coach. So that's immediately what I go to, and I get choked up thinking about it. I'm like, well, there you go. That's all I have to think of, and I'm not leaving. And, also think about those people that you've helped so far, or that have sent you that message when they lost their first 5 pounds, or when they discovered Shakeology is amazing and they feel so good, or whatever those little wins were, that when they sent it and they were so excited, or even when they just got their first box, and they were just so excited to open it and start, like, replay those moments, and I promise you will get excited and you're not going to go anywhere. And that's like the whole point. And then I would go through, what would I do with this extra time? Because my why when I first started was that I was lonely and I felt guilty for taking care of myself and doing my workout. But mostly, like, I was lonely, and that community is what filled my day as a stay-at-home mom, so that, like, I felt like I was connected and I felt like I wasn't alone anymore and I had friends. So if I left all of that, I would literally be right back to where I started almost 4 years ago now. And so that terrifies me, because I don't want to be that mama again. Like, she was a mess. I'm still a mess now, but it's different. And then I would think, okay, what way would it actually benefit me to quit or to take a step back? And in my case, like, it literally would not benefit me, because I realized, like, okay, I'm not frustrated. Like, I'm frustrated because this is hard and I'm working really hard because I have big goals. If I took a step back, those goals would not go away. And I would probably be even more mad at myself, because if you take a step back, you lose any momentum that you had going for you. All that building that you've done, like, it will only take that much longer to get it back. So I think of all that and I'm like, okay, like, I better just keep working today. So then it goes into that, keep working, even if you don't feel like it that day or that week. And I can attest, because this week, every morning, it was a chore. Like, it was a mental chore to have to sit down and focus and do my work. And it's just like your workout. Like, we don't always feel like doing it, and it might not always be the best workout, and you might not get as much out of it, but you still did it, and it still moved you forward compared to not doing it at all. So it's the same thing with your business and with your work. And then I always say this, but the action creates energy. So a lot of times I sit down, I feel like I'm trudging through work, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, I send out my invites. Like, I feel better already. I'm getting some conversations going. I feel like I'm in control of this. And then the other thing is, someone might sign up, like, later in the day, and then all of a sudden you're happy again and you feel like you're back at it. And so it's such a roller coaster that you have to stay in control of those emotions, feel them, and then move on and keep going. Don't let it stop you. I am almost done here. I think I kind of, like, put that in the wrong point. I think I've already said a lot of this. I was saying, think of those that you've helped, think of your own health journey and where you'd be without this. So that kind of went back to what we were talking about before, putting yourself in that scenario. For me, it was the community, but also, if I quit doing these workouts and drinking the shake, like, I would have all these problems again physically. And then, remember who you are. So maybe I'll tell this little story. I have a few minutes. I'm going to say, I'll say my line first, but, like, if you are working and you're feeling so defeated like that, you still have to stay strong, and you can't if you're getting, like, a ton of no's or a ton of ghosts that day, you can't let those rejections dictate what is true about our business opportunity, about our Shakeology and our products and our workouts and this lifestyle. It's on them, like, it's their problem. They don't understand yet, but you have to be so confident at what we're talking about is true, and not let it phase you. And so the story I'm going to kind of end with was Michael Ullman was doing a live video. I'm in that quadrant, or what's it called? Q3, bet on yourself, whatever. Which, by the way, I feel like even if I don't win my money back, it was worth the $50, because they've given so much value in there. But he did a short video yesterday, and he was talking about, because he's a state trooper. So, and he was actually in his uniform at work doing this video, and he had his uniform, and he's like, when I put on this uniform, I have a certain posture about myself. And you walk into the room and everyone expects you to know, directions and about the job and to know what you're doing. And he's like, and sometimes you don't know what you're doing, but you pretend that you do, and then you go figure it out. And he's like, coaching is the same thing, or if we're calling in sick, like, it's not a job where we could call in sick and anyone would know, but are you calling in sick? And ask yourself that. But I just love the uniform analogy because, he's like, are you putting your coach uniform on when you send these invites and when you're answering these no's and these messages? Because even if they say no, you have to have that posture that you know what you're talking about. You know how to find the answer. You know the value in this, all of those things. And I know I didn't say it how he said it because it was way better than that. But anyway, it just kind of helped me in that it was actually one of the bad days, and he said all of that, and I really liked that. So, but the bottom line is, do not quit without doing all of these tips that I just said, and giving yourself at least another month of time before you make that decision, because chances are something's going to happen. Someone's going to sign up, or you're just going to hear some training or something that's going to pump you up and give you that motivation or that energy to keep going, or those emotions will go away. You guys, girls, I used to want to quit every month when my period started. I'm just being honest. Every single month when my period started, I was like, I need to quit coaching. This is so hard. I can't do this. And like, I would text Sue and she's like, are you on your period? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, just stop. It'll be fine in a few days. So just know that. Don't quit when you're on your period. But yeah, give yourself ample amount of time to really think it through and to keep showing up in the meantime, so that, because even if you don't like cancel your coach account, but you stop, you're only going to make it that much harder for yourself. And that action, remember, the action creates the energy a lot of times. And so you'll do it, you'll feel better, and then you'll keep going and you'll still be in it. And I didn't write this one down, but the same, like Monday, Tuesday were just like really rough days. Yeah, I'm like, Wednesday was okay, but Tuesday I showed up. I went to the what the heck is coaching Zoom. You guys, I don't need to be there. I'm a coach already. And I did end up sending the Zoom to a lot of people, the recording. So I'm glad that I was there. But what I'm saying is that show up to stuff like that. Show up to the live power hour. Show up to like any video that you see, and somebody will pump you up. Because all I had to do was listen to those two ladies' stories. And I was like, I would have signed up again, all over again. So sometimes we have to do that, just something, like do something. Don't just wallow and stay silent. And then give yourself like a month of time. So, all right, that's all I have.